Let's talk about some of the awesome new manga releases coming out in July of 2024. Welcome back to the Manga Buyer's Guide. This is July 2024. I apologize for all of y'all who were waiting for the June guide. I did have to take a month away from social media because I was so busy. Obviously, you can see this is a different background here, so I had to take some time to get readjusted and stuff, but we are good to go and back running with the July Manga Buyer's Guide, and there are so many cool new releases that I'm very excited to talk about, and I'm hoping that you're going to be excited as well. Now, before we get into them, as always, I want to cover a couple things, especially for those of you who are new to the channel and new to the buyer's guides. First thing is, this is not a video covering every single new release on the calendar. This is not about every single new manga that's coming out. I like to focus on what I call notable new releases, and what those are is usually going to be new debuts, so new volume 1s, new single volume releases, but I also do try to cover as many of the final volumes coming out as well as I can. And the reason for this is because I like to focus on those so that you as a viewer, as a manga collector and reader, can hopefully be turned on to some new content, some new titles, which could become your new favorite story. That's the whole point of all this. So anyway, second thing I like to cover is the release dates are the official dates from the publishers, retailers, and distributors, but some things will shift around, some things will get delayed, some things will come out early. It's normal, just expect that to happen. Now let's jump on into it. July 2nd is the first of 5 weeks of new releases for the month of July, and we start off with something that's been delayed a few times and I'm really excited about, which is Gannibal from Ablaze. Gannibal follows Officer Daigo Agawa, who's been reassigned as the officer to a quaint remote village after the disappearance of his predecessor. At first he finds the post warm and the citizens welcoming, but then there's a report that the body of a local grandmother has been found. At the scene, he sees her corpse has a human bite mark, and any suspicion he voices is met with strange hostility. Something evil is afoot in this mountain village, but can Officer Agawa protect himself and his family from it? So this is going to be a real cool one for horror fans, and one that I've personally been waiting quite a while for. I know there was, I believe, a Kickstarter campaign for like a cool hardcover set. I skipped out on that one, but I will be picking this one up in the paperbacks as they come out. Now, speaking of delayed releases from Ablaze, we also have Osamu Tezuka's Shakespeare Manga Theater. This is a single volume release collecting a bunch of adaptations of Shakespeare's work from throughout Osamu Tezuka's career, including The Merchant of Venice, Romeo and Robiette from Astro Boy, Macbeth from Vampire, The Three Fortune Tellers, Hamlet from Rainbow Parakeet, The Taming of the Shrew from Rainbow Parakeet, and Othello from Rainbow Parakeet. So this will be a good one for Osamu Tezuka fans to add to their Tezuka collection. Then from Titan, we have Burst Angel. This is a series that was originally published by Tokyo Pop back in 2008 to 2009, reprinted now with a new translation from Titan Manga. This is a prequel to the Burst Angel anime, which depicts a romantic relationship between Joe and Meg, two members of the group who in the anime are investigating mutated human monsters that are causing mayhem in Tokyo. Then we wrap up the first week with 3 final volumes coming from 7 Seas Entertainment. First up is a big one for me and for a lot of people, Homunculus Omnibus 5. This collects volumes 9 and 10 of the Japanese re-release, or volumes 13, 14, and 15 of the original 15-volume Japanese release. Story follows the homeless Nakoshi, who is paid to undergo trepanation, a procedure where a hole is drilled in the skull to relieve pressure on the brain, and he can now see homunculus, strange creatures that have attached themselves to the people around him. Seven Seas also have recently announced that they will be publishing Yamamoto's series Hikari Man later this year across similar omnibus editions, and I am hoping that they'll start picking up some of his older licenses as well, like Voyeur, which was previously published by Viz but is largely out of print, and also, of course, Ichi the Killer, which is probably his most well-known work outside of Homunculus that has never been released in English thus far. Next up, we have the final volume, volume 10 of Dragon Goes House Hunting. This is a fantasy comedy about a dragon named Letty who was kicked out of his home and started a quest to find a new one where he would make many new friends along the way. And wrapping up the first week is The Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent, The Other Saint, Volume 4. This is the final volume of a fantasy isekai about a schoolgirl declared the Holy Saint, the savior of the new world, who would banish darkness. Now we move on to the second week, July 9th, starting this week with another exciting horror release, and that is H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness Deluxe Edition hardcover. This is another Dark Horse Deluxe Edition, which means it's in the same vein as their Berserk, Blade of the Immortal, and Hellsing hardcovers, and the upcoming hardcovers that they have for Trigun. Dark Horse originally released this in 2 paperback volumes. In Japan, it was originally 4 paperbacks, so this is technically a 4-in-1 hardcover release. They also previously published The Hound and Other Stories, as well as The Shadow over Innsmouth, and have The Call of Cthulhu on the way, as far as other H.P. Lovecraft adaptations by Go Tanabe go. So hopefully they'll follow this one with more deluxe editions of Tanabe's Lovecraft stories, and there's a lot more that they haven't licensed in English that I'm hoping they'll do in the future. So hopefully this one sells well, and I have seen pictures and video of it, of early copies out there in the wild, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So if you're a horror fan, if you're a Lovecraft fan, whether you've read this or not yet, I highly recommend it. The artwork is incredible, and the narrative itself actually really good for a manga adaptation of a English language horror story. Next up, we get from Viz Media Naruto Konoha's story, The Steam Ninja Scrolls. This is the manga adaptation of the comedic story about a secret mission that has Mirai Sarutobi escorting the odd couple of Guy and Kakashi to the land of Steam. So this was based on a light novel. If you're a fan of light novel, you might want to grab the manga, or maybe you're a fan of Naruto but not of light novels, and this will be a good one to add to your collection. Either way, Naruto fan, a new book for y'all to add to your collection. I think this one's only like 2 volumes as well. Then from Kodansha, we have a box set coming this month, Hitori Jime My Hero Box Set 1, which includes the first 6 volumes of the BL manga that inspired the hit anime, and also includes a 100-page bonus booklet with 7 short stories and color illustrations exclusive to this set. The second box set has already been announced or has been solicited, so we'll have that in the coming months as well. Moving over to Square Enix, we get A Man and His Cat picture book. This is a picture book spin-off of the popular series that sees the titular duo meeting feline-like aliens. So if you're a fan of A Man and His Cat, this is an adorable little hardcover that you will want to add to your collection that looks like a children's picture book, just with these characters, but the art style is adjusted to fit like the picture book style. Then we've got My Dearest Patrolman. This is an 18+ BL about a troubled young man and a loyal police officer who inspired him to become a patrolman himself. However, when he eventually gets the job after a decade, he finds the officer is retired to run his family's convenience store. Moving on, we've got Reliving My Life with a Boyfriend Who Doesn't Remember Me. And if you thought that was a mouthful of a title, it's adapted from the light novel series called Return from Death. I kicked the bucket and now I'm back at square one with a boyfriend who doesn't remember me. This is about 17-year-old magic student Oriana, who dies suddenly alongside her boyfriend Vincent, and returns to life in the body of her 7-year-old self with all memories of her past life intact except for who killed her. She dreams of reuniting with her beloved, but when she finds him, Vincent doesn't remember her. Can she make him love her again and avoid the death that started this time loop? Then we've got a couple more final volumes, again coming from 7 Seas, Bite Maker, The King's Omega, Volume 11, the final volume of this Omega-verse fantasy series, and then Momo the Blood Taker, Volume 9. This is the finale of the Vampire Mystery series about a detective looking for revenge for his lover who was killed 10 years ago. Then on, I believe, Friday the 12th, I believe the 12th is a Friday, we have one release, Blue Archive Problem Solver 68 Business Diary. This is coming from Kaiten releases, Kaiten Books. I don't think I've ever talked about anything from them before. It's based on a popular mobile game that I'm not familiar with at all. It follows the lives of 4 girls who run a business that takes on all kinds of odd jobs to stay afloat in a city where students spend their daily lives armed. Then moving on to the 16th, we start off with the Haikyuu Omnibus. This is the first of 15 3-in-1 volumes of the popular volleyball manga, just in time for the movie. So if you are a fan of the anime and never picked up the manga, this is a great chance for you to pick it up in cheaper, more cost-effective releases that are also going to save you room on the shelf. The only con with the Viz Omnibus releases like this is that they use a thinner paper stock, which is why it saves you space on the shelf, but they're a great price for the package, and these have really nice looking covers as well. Another one from Viz, we get Battle Royale Enforcers. This is a sequel to the original Battle Royale, where now Project 8 is now run by an evil government AI, and once more high school students will have to fight to the death. So if you are a fan of the original Battle Royale manga, novel, or movie, then this is something you'll probably want to pick up. And I still have my fingers crossed that hopefully someday soon someone will pick up the license to the original Battle Royale manga and reprint it with new translations and all that stuff, updated from the Tokyo Pop edition from decades ago. Then we've got Captain Momo's Secret Base. This is a new one coming from Dark Horse, from the creator of Emanon and Wandering Island. So if you are a fan of either of those, definitely pick this one up. It's a sci-fi comedy about a lazy captain aboard a cargo vessel battling her own boredom and company directives with the help of reading material and liquor. Next up, we've got My Beautiful Man. It's a BL about a class king, his classmate at the bottom of the social ladder, and the romance that buds between them. Then from Square Enix, we've got Just Like Mona Lisa. In a world where all children are born without gender until they're 18, when they choose whether they want to become male or female, Hinase has to decide whether they want to be with bubbly girl Ritsu or thoughtful boy Shiori, both of whom confess their feelings to them on the same day. Next up is My Stepmom's Daughter Is My Ex. An ex-couple who still have feelings for each other are forced to become siblings and live under the same roof due to their parents' marriage. Sounds pretty scandalous. Then from Yen Press, we've got Penguin Highway. This is the manga adaptation of the novel that inspired the movie of the same name. Penguins are one day spotted in the residential district of a suburban town nowhere near the ocean and disappear just as mysteriously. Fourth grader Aoyama is determined to get to the bottom of this mystery. This is a nice 3-in-1 volume, and it's not too thick or anything like that, but it's a nice oversized 3-in-1 full story in one book. Moving on, over at Kuma, we've got Qualia Under the Snow. It's a BL about two men living in the same dorm, Akio, who prefers plants over people, and Umi, who has only ever had one-night stands. This one is from Kuma, so it might wind up getting delayed. I haven't seen whether or not it's actually gone to print or if they have the office copies or not, so keep that in mind. Throw Away the Suit Together. This is a Yuri manga about two women in college feeling crippled by the weight of impending adult responsibilities. So they decide to run away and move to an island where they will face the future together. This sounds like the perfect summertime GL. I think it's only like 3 volumes as well, so not a huge commitment. And we wrap up the third week with Team Phoenix Volume 5. This is the final volume of this space adventure that Udon has been publishing that brings together many of Osamu Tezuka's classic characters. So if you are a Tezuka fan, this one's a pretty fun little one that features a lot of the characters you'll recognize from his other stories, or from his stories. This is written and drawn by a gentleman named Kenny Ruiz. So that wraps up the third week, and before we move into the 23rd, which is the biggest of the 5 weeks in July as far as releases go, a word from the sponsor of this video, Walt's Comic Shop. So if you're like me, and many of the viewers that I have are like me, you live here in the US, where we've got tons of options to shop for English language manga. You've got your brick and mortar stores like Barnes & Noble or Books A Million, or maybe your local comic shop. And we've got online places, of course, like Crunchyroll, In-Stock Trades, and even huge sites like Amazon that have everything you would want, basically. But if you're in other parts of the world, they don't have access to as many good resources and retailers. However, if you're in the EU, a really fantastic retailer that you can go to is Walt's Comic Shop. Not only do they have a fantastic selection of really nicely priced manga, but Walt's also sells Western comics like Marvel, DC. So if you like to dip your toes into something, maybe try out those new Transformers and G.I. Joe books from Image Comics. That's a good chance to do that. Waltz, of course, has great prices, customer service, and great packaging. And if you have never ordered from them before, you can use the code TheOmnibusCollector to get free shipping on your order of €40 or more within the EU. Big thanks to Walt's Comic Shop for supporting the channel. And moving on, let's get into the 23rd, starting off with Ali, Junji Ito's story collection. So this is the newest of the Junji Ito material coming out in English. It's an adaptation of the original Japanese masterpiece collection volume titled The Back Alley, and includes 10 stories new to English audiences. After this, there are only 2 remaining volumes from the masterpiece collection that have not yet been licensed in English, Headless Sculptures and The Groaning Drain. And then upcoming releases from Ito in English are Uncanny: The Origins of Fear, an autobiography about Ito's 35-year manga, or 35+ year manga career, and The Liminal Zone Season 2, which contains 4 more short stories. Aside from the 2 masterpiece collections that remain to be licensed, we're only missing in English, A Study from the Abyss of Horror, A Diary of Embellished Patches, Rasputin the Patriot, a single short story from Selected Masterpieces Warped, and various short stories that have never been collected in Japan. So we're getting to the end of all the Ito material. Like, Viz does at least one Ito license every round of announcements, so that's 3 times a year. So it should take us less than 2 years to get the rest of these things. Now, another exciting hardcover release from Viz Media is the reprint of Go-Go Monster from Taiyo Matsumoto. This has been long out of print, and I am a huge fan of Taiyo Matsumoto personally, so I'm very excited to see this one back. And it is such a beautiful volume. It's a great looking hardcover in a slipcase with colored edges and everything. So it's great to have Taiyo Matsumoto's Go-Go Monster back in print. The story itself is about a first grader who can see monsters who occupy the 4th floor of his school. Yuki is worried about the recent influx of less friendly creatures, and that his ability to perceive the true nature of things is waning as he gets older. So if you also are a fan of Matsumoto, do not miss this one. Next from Square Enix, we have another cool hardcover coming out, Soul Eater Not Perfect Edition. The spin-off to Soul Eater gets the Perfect Edition hardcover treatment, and it does match on the shelves next to the others. Instead of yellow and black, it is pink and black though. This short series follows Tsugumi Harudori, who is a student in the Death Weapon Meister Academy's Not Normally Overcome Target class. Many in the Not class aspire to join the Eat, especially Advantage Target classes, but it will take time for Tsugumi to find her confidence and a partner in this school. So if you've been a fan of Soul Eater and you've been enjoying the hardcover releases that Square Enix has been doing, you'll definitely want to pick these up. It's, I believe, 3 hardcovers to collect the 5-volume series. Then after that, we've got Too Close to Fall in Love, a single volume BL of a boy whose father has remarried, and he begins to develop feelings for his new stepbrother, who seems to be trying to seduce him. Then we've got Jealousy Blinds Love, another single volume BL between a burnt-out piano prodigy and a late blooming genius. Then we go over to Aria of the Beech Forest. Aria is a young witch who lives alone growing herbs and knitting until one day she encounters a white wolf who can talk and asks to live with her. Then there's Excellent Property, Rejects for Residents. Jobless Yugo meets the angel Hamniel, who offers to help him find work, but Yugo turns her down because he lives in the reject residences, where rent is cheap and all the other tenants are like him, human failures. Can Hamniel's divine intervention turn Yugo's life around? Next up, we get Go 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 Ghost. Ushiro's hit rock bottom after a failed illicit affair at her first job. So now she takes temporary gigs to get by in her rundown apartment with plain rice and for every meal. Then one day she meets the alleged guardian spirit Big Sis Masako, who promises to take her under her ghostly wing. Together they'll turn a brush with death into the start of a gloriously funny new partnership. Then we've got another single volume BL, Kind of a Wolf, about Shiroki, his cat, and his rude, noisy neighbor upstairs. Miss Savage Fang, Mylene is a daughter of nobility, an elegant warrior, and her vermilion hair signifies she's been chosen by God. However, she's hiding a huge secret. In her is the soul of the greatest mercenary in history, Savage Fang. Savage Fang was reborn in the body of Mylene and looks to use her newfound status and abilities to change the world in her own ways. Then another single volume BL, This Wolf is Not Scary. In a world where humans have evolved to have half animal forms, Shiro is a wolf whose family is focused on strength and dominance, but he prefers cute things like Rabbit Boy Usami. Then we got Your Letter. This is a manhwa about Sori Lee. Recently started at a new school, but she's finding it hard to start fresh when everything reminds her of why she transferred in the first place. One day she finds a note taped to the bottom of her desk that sends her on the scavenger hunt of a lifetime, which becomes a healing journey for Sori. This one, I believe, is just a single volume as well. Then from Titan, we get My Name is Zero. Ray has massive debts due to his sister's expensive medical treatment. So one day he follows a link in a mysterious email that seems to promise him help. However, this unexpectedly transports him into a video game where he earns money after each boss he defeats. This one's only 2 volumes, so if you want a fun little video game isekai series like that, this is a short one for you to check out. Speaking of fun short series, Search and Destroy is a 3-volume series that is adapting Osamu Tezuka's classic Dororo from being a feudal Japan story to a dystopian future story where mercenary robots save the human elite and victimize the city's desperate masses. The violent death of one of the robots connects an orphaned thief named Doro with a mysterious girl in an animal hide which hides cybernetic implants. Now I've got 4 final volumes to wrap up this week, the first 2 from 7 Seas, the last 2 from Yen Press. First up, we got Colorless, Volume 7. This is the end of the sci-fi noir mystery about a world with no color. This one's a really cool series, and it has spot coloring throughout the pages that signifies in a world that has no color, there are some things where there still exists color. It's a really cool one if you're into sci-fi mysteries and stuff like that. I highly recommend checking it out. Then we've got another final Volume 7. That was Volume 7 of Colorless, Volume 7 of Magical Angel Creamy Mommy, and The Spoiled Princess, modern sequel to the classical Magical Girl series, centers on Megumi Ayase, an idol singer at the talent agency Pantheon Productions and the antagonist of the classic series. When Mommy joins the agency, they've all but forgotten about Megumi, but she's ready to do whatever she can to propel herself into the limelight. Then from Yen Press, My Poison Princess is Still Cute, Volume 3. It's the end of the Star-Crossed Lovers series about Poison Princess Raffi and Immortal Knight Lauren. And then the big one wrapping up this month, of course, is Delicious in Dungeon, Volume 14. I feel like I don't need to introduce this series to anyone given how big it's gotten, especially since the anime released. And I'm really happy that it got so popular because I have loved the series for a while, and it is great to see it getting its due with English audiences. I'm so excited to get this last volume, wrap up the series. I've been loving it since I started reading it a few years back. Actually, one of the earlier manga-focused videos on the channel was a review that I did of Delicious in Dungeon when it only had like 8 or 9 volumes in English. It's not a very good video, but if you want to hear some of my thoughts around that time, you can search for it in my channel. With that, we'll move on to the final week of the month, which is July 30th, starting off with a new one from 7 Seas, Nos and Zakuro. It's a supernatural comedy about Nos, like Nosferatu, a vampire mother and her adopted vampire daughter, Zakuro. The two may be vampires, but they aren't spooky. They drink blood from juice boxes, shop for anti-sun accessories, and hang out with their other monster pals. Then from Tokyopop, we have Disney manga, Stitch, the manga collection. It's an all-in-one compilation of the previously released Stitch manga from Tokyopop, which, fun fact, was the first new manga that they published back in 2016 and 2017 after their North American division was shut down in 2011. So Stitch was the beginning of the resurgence for Tokyopop, but they only did, for a little bit, I think they only did Disney stuff before becoming what they are now, which with the Love Love line, they do a lot of BLs and GLs and other romances. Anyway, moving on from that one. Oh, and side note, this is Stitch the manga, not Stitch and the Samurai. That one also has a complete collection, but they're two different things. Days with My Stepsister. Yuta's father is getting remarried to a woman with a daughter who has a reputation of being an unapproachable bad girl. However, as he gets to know her, he finds that she doesn't really live up to that reputation. Could something blossom between them? There's a lot of sibling stuff in this month's things. Then we've got I'll Never Be Your Crown Princess Betrothed, sequel to I'll Never Be Your Crown Princess, which reunites Liddy and Freed and introduces new threats from their past. And we got Spread Your Wings and Fly, a single volume BL about 2 university students, Chikara, who dreams of flight, and transfer student Satomi, who hides a dark secret. And we end the month on Sundome or Sundome Milky Way Volume 10, Another End, the finale of the harem series about Yoshitake, a salaryman who would save the Earth by losing his virginity to the alien Lune. This final volume focuses on what happens in the end for the other members in Yoshitake's harem. And that wraps up the month of July. There is so many cool things coming out in July I'm so excited to get into, and a lot of other stuff coming out this month of you know, non-first or last volumes, of course. But let me know in the comments down below what you are most excited for. Personally, me, all the horror stuff this month, the Ito, the Lovecraft, Gannibal finally coming out. We got some cool Tezuka and Tezuka related stuff that's coming out as well. There are so many things that I'm excited to pick up this month and to check out, but I'm really curious what y'all are excited about as well. Let me know know what series that I talked about in this video that you're excited to see coming out, that you're excited to pick up and try out yourself. And let me know what other stuff that I didn't talk about in this video that you're most excited about picking up this month. Thank you so much for checking the video out. If you're new here, I hope that you'll hit that subscribe button so that you'll be notified of all the upcoming videos that I have coming out. And if you're not new here, you know just how much I appreciate it when y'all come and spend time with me. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.